Hey, everybody, and welcome to another episode of Cinema Heroes. I'm Justin Speck.
I'm Jay Stu.
And today we're talking about Pirates of the Caribbean on Stranger Tides. I almost said part 4. I guess it is part 4. It's just that's not in the title. Released in 2011, directed by Rob Marshall, written by Ted Elliott and Terry Rossio, suggested by the novel by Tim Powers, and starring Johnny Depp, Geoffrey Rush, Penelope Cruz, Sam Claflin. I don't know if that's exactly how you pronounce his name. Stephen Graham. Keith Richards is back with a small cameo again. Kevin McNally is Gibbs. I don't think I ever mentioned him in the previous episodes. And Ian McShane, of course, as Blackbeard. So, Stu, in the last episode, we talked about how I'd only seen this movie one time and remember liking it. I remember watching it when it came out on Blu-ray. I didn't get to see this one in the theater, but when it came out on Blu-ray, I was working at Blockbuster at the time in California and thought that was actually pretty good. I liked that one. So I had thought that it was better than on At World's End and Dead Man's Chest. Watching it last night, I didn't dislike it, but it felt lacking. And I really think, even though I had issues with Dead Man's Chest and At World's End, Gore Verbinski has an amazing cinematic eye. And this movie just doesn't have that same kind of magic as At World's End and Dead Man's Chest. It doesn't have that same fantastical feeling, even though there's the Fountain of Youth and Blackbeard has some supernatural powers. It feels like actors on a set. Whereas, At World's End and Dead Man's Chest and, of course, Curse of the Black Pearl felt like you were there and this was actually happening and that kind of stuff. So this one just felt kind of fake to me, I guess is the best way to say it. Like when they're on the boat, it felt like it was a boat on a soundstage or in like in a big tank or something. And then when they're at the Fountain of Youth and they're fighting, like the Spanish come in and they're all fighting in there, it looks and feels like a set. Nothing against Rob Marshall. I think Rob Marshall is a good director, but I just think comparative, especially since I watched At World's End so close to this one, comparatively, this one is just not nearly as visually exciting.
I 100% agree. I like this movie.
Yeah,
I'll say that now. I wouldn't dare call it better than the first 3 at all. But I was watching it, and this is the third time that I've watched this movie. I saw it opening night when it came out. That was back when they did midnight releases. They did a midnight release for this movie, and the theater was about halfway full. And then I watched it again when I rented it from Redbox, when Redbox was like first a thing.
Right, yeah. It seemed super cool.
Yeah. And so my third time watching it. And yes, I did know, and I noticed this the last time too, but I definitely noticed this again, even more so, that it looked and felt very different. And everything you said is you hit the nail on the head. I remember watching it and thinking, this feels like an episode of a TV show.
Yeah, it does.
The story is not as big.
Right.
The first 3 movies were epic. All 3 of them were epic.
Right.
This movie was not. It was, and it's not a bad thing. It's just they really toned down the scale of the story. And yes, it did feel like it was on a set. They I don't think they went on location at all.
I don't think they did either.
Everything looked like a set. Even one of my favorite scenes looked like a set.
Which scene is that?
The mermaid scene.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, that may be my favorite scene in the movie.
Yeah.
And it kind of took me out of it with this watch. I still enjoyed it. There was a point when I kind of drifted away. And that was after the mermaid scene, but before they get to the fountain. So that chunk right in there was when I kind of was like not really into it.
Yeah.
But that, the first like half of the movie and then all of the third act, I was really interested in.
Yeah. Yeah, I don't dislike the movie either, but you're right. The first three are way more epic than this film. Mm-hmm. And I do wonder, because I know At World's End got a lot of negative reviews or whatever by critics saying that there was just too much going on. Kind of, that's similar to kind of what I said. Yeah. And so I wonder if this movie was a reaction to that. They were like, okay, let's do a smaller scale Pirates movie. Yeah. Something that still has like Jack Sparrow and some of these fantastical elements, but just way smaller. And I want, I don't know if the budget was, I heard At World's End was at the time like one of the most expensive movies ever made, if not the most expensive movie ever made. Yeah,
when it came out, it was the most expensive movie ever made.
So I'd have to guess that this movie has a lower budget than At World's End.
Significantly lower.
Yeah. Yeah. So,
and you can just tell. Budget than the first movie.
Yeah. Yeah. It could be, maybe. And I feel like you could just tell, because like you said, pretty much, I don't know if they did go on location for anything. And most of it is on a set. I was just watching the scene because I just started the movie where Jack has escaped from the king's palace and he's like on top of the carriages going through the city and stuff. I don't that unless that was like on a backlot or something. I don't know if that was on location, but everything else just feels like it was on a set in a soundstage or something. So it does take you out of it a little bit when something doesn't look real, or if it looks what's the word I'm looking for? If it looks like especially fake, I guess you could say, then that takes you out of your suspension of disbelief kind of gets broken a little bit.
Yeah. If it looks especially fake when it's not intentional.
Right.
It takes you out of it. Cause I was thinking back to the episode we did, Rebel Moon, when you said the backdrop looked fake, but that was intentional. It was supposed to look,
and I appreciated that one. Yeah.
Otherworldly, Right. Yeah.
Yes, I agreed.
This is, it's hard to be immersed in this world because everything looks so synthetic.
Right.
Another thing that didn't really work. Well, I don't say it didn't work, but I think the reason why this movie feels off is because of the lack of Will Turner. The first three movies, Will Turner is the protagonist. The movies are about Jack Sparrow, but we are seeing Jack Sparrow through Will Turner's eyes, through his perspective. Now Jack is the main character, and it doesn't feel right.
Right.
Yeah.
I never thought about that, but you're absolutely right. I guess if you had asked me before who's the protagonist of, Curse of the Black Pearl, my initial thought would have been Jack Sparrow, but it's Jack, not. Yeah. You're right. It is Will Turner, and it's
we're
it's
just like Ferris Bueller. The movie is called Ferris Bueller's Day Off. It's about Ferris Bueller, but we're seeing it from I'm drawing a blank. Cameron. We're seeing it from Cameron's point of view.
So yeah, that could be another factor of this movie, that making Jack Sparrow the protagonist doesn't work quite as well. It's like you need a like a regular guy to kind of balance it out a little bit, which I suppose they tried to do with the priest character, Sam Claflin's character, who, rescues the mermaid and stuff. But he is such a side B character to he really doesn't care about Jack Sparrow or anything. It's not really.
He's neutral. So he's just there.
He's just there. We're not seeing the story through his eyes or anything like that. So it's a little different. Yeah, it's interesting.
Since we're talking about characters, Geoffrey Rush returns as Captain Hector Barbossa. He is now a privateer for the king.
Right.
Which is basically a legal pirate.
Right. Yeah, that's true. I do kind of feel like you know, they're like, we're making a fourth Pirates movie. We obviously are going to have Johnny Depp in it. And I think people really like Barbossa's character and they feel like they couldn't have a Pirates movie without Barbossa. So I actually kind of liked what they did with his character in this, that, you know, he says he lost the Black Pearl. It was sunk and he lost his leg. So I like that he's got a peg leg now, you know, and he's and the whole idea of him
more
working
piratey.
Right. Yeah, exactly.
As if he couldn't get it any more piratey. He's even more piratey. The only thing that would make him even more piratey would be an eye patch.
Right. Yeah, exactly. And I forgot all about that. I forgot about the peg leg. I thought that was great. And I love when they're tied up and Barbossa's like, I got just the thing. And he pops his leg off and I think Jack says, like, is that a knife or something like that to cut? And he's like, no. And he starts drinking and Jack just goes, I want one of those. So this movie has its moments. And again, like the previous movies, for me anyway, I really like the acting in it too. You know,
as do I.
I think Ian McShane as Blackbeard is awesome. And I think he's really fun to watch.
I've never seen Ian McShane in anything. I've never seen him in a role that I didn't like. I love Ian McShane. He's great as Blackbeard.
Yeah, I agree.
The pirate that all pirates fear.
Right. And I love his introduction. You know, I like when, because I think I would have had the exact same response as Jack did when he's asking about Blackbeard and they're like, well, he just stays in his quarters. And he's like, okay. He's like, but he's got to come out sometime, right? And they're like, no, not really. And they're like, he's like, okay, well, who here has seen Blackbeard? And nobody has. And he's like, great news, everybody. This is not Blackbeard shit. He's like, you're being fooled. And so then they try to take over the ship and he comes out. It's timed perfectly and everything. That scene was very well done, I thought.
It's a very, very, very well done introduction scene. And, you know, he hangs all the
mutineers,
the mutineers. But he doesn't kill them, but he just hangs them from the
right. He kills one.
Yeah,
and I actually love Jack in that scene. So Jack gets to the top, you know, and then the doors open and Blackbeard comes out. And if you watch like on the wide shot, Jack is just slowly walks back down the stairs. He's like he's basically doing his Jack Sparrow runs away thing, but just very slowly and like trying not to draw attention to himself type of thing, which I thought was pretty great. I will say this movie kind of makes Jack. I mean, Jack, we realize, you know, at World's End, we were talking about how smart Jack is, but doesn't show it. You know, he pretends to be very dumb so that people kind of underestimate him. And he is able to, he's strategic and everything. This movie kind of takes that a little farther and they almost make him superhuman. Like the scene where he escapes from the palace, you know, where he like knows a full minute beforehand that he's throwing the napkin on the floor because some guard is going to come in and slip on it and go out the window. Like it just was a little too far, in my opinion. I
bought it. I mean,
it's not a deal breaker. It's just, it just felt like they were just making him more. I mean, I don't know. I guess
smarter than he has.
They were making him like Sherlock
past.
Holmesian smart, you know? It was like
that'd be a movie I'd like to see. Johnny Depp as Sherlock Holmes. I'd watch that.
That'd be interesting, yeah. How do you feel about Penelope Cruz's character?
She's pretty.
Right.
She is out of the main four, she's my least favorite.
Yeah, I'd probably agree with that. I do like that she's they made her be like a really good con artist, basically. Although I don't believe anybody would buy that she was actually Jack Sparrow. You know, we see her in the shadows when he finally kind of confronts this person who has been posing as Jack Sparrow. And I just don't believe anybody would actually think she was actually Jack Sparrow. But I like that she's this con artist to the point where Jack actually thinks that she's conning Blackbeard into thinking that she's his daughter. And then you find out that, no, she actually is his daughter. I thought that was actually kind of a cool.
I did too.
Story element, I guess.
The plot twist is that there's no plot twist.
Right. Yeah, exactly. And, I think Johnny Depp and her, or she, play off each other well and have good, decent chemistry. I wouldn't say it's like the best chemistry or anything, but
yeah.
But I kind of believe that they had like a past and stuff.
Mm-hmm.
Especially at the end when he strands her on the island with the one bullet. And I like how she shoots at him and he's like, you missed. He just keeps like rowing and leaves her on the island. That's pretty great.
I like that. I like that scene. When the part of the scene when they're about to kiss and the music is playing and it just stops. He's like, well, gotta go.
It was a little weird in the beginning when they're fighting. It's Jack Sparrow fighting this Jack Sparrow imposter, and we don't know who it is yet. And then he ends up kissing. Now we know it's Penelope Cruz. He ends up kissing this fake Jack Sparrow. And when he breaks free, he goes, I always wanted to do that. And you're like, you always wanted to kiss yourself? You're just like, it's just the arrogance, Jack Sparrow.
I'm about to say that's very Jack Sparrow.
Right, yeah, exactly. Just loves himself so much.
Oh, man.
Another element that I appreciated, and I don't know if this was something that was also in the Tim Powers novel. I don't think so, because I don't know if mermaids were in it. Maybe they were. I've never read it, but I liked that they don't you can't just drink water from the fountain of youth and gain immortality.
Right.
That you've got to have the two chalices. One has to have the tears of a mermaid and the other one doesn't. And you actually are taking years away from somebody. You're taking, life away from somebody else in order to prolong your life, which I thought was actually kind of cool. Because otherwise, everybody would have shown up there and just drank from the fountain of youth and then just been immortal. All these people would have been immortal.
Like Jack said, I like that. I like that scene when they get there and Barbossa is about to fight Blackbeard. He's like, hold on. So you got everybody's about to fight each other because he wants to kill him. Like, why don't we just let them fight and we have a drink? Right. Play some wagers.
I like that too. I actually thought that was pretty great.
Like, hi.
Yeah, so that was another little plot reveal or whatever you want to call it, where we learned that Barbossa, the Black Pearl wasn't actually sunk. Blackbeard has like stolen ships and had the ability to shrink them down and put them in bottles, similar to Brainiac and the whole like bottle city of Candor and stuff. Yeah. And so he lost his leg in that, and so he's seeking revenge against Blackbeard. And so I kind of liked all that, but yeah, that scene is fantastic. He's like, wait, he wants to fight him, and he wants to fight him. He's like, why don't we just let them do it, and we all just sit back and yeah, that was great. How did you feel about the opening scene where Gibbs is mistaken for Jack Sparrow and being put on trial, and then Jack Sparrow comes out?
I like the opening scene. It was pretty funny.
Yeah, I like that too. Actually, I thought it worked pretty well.
Like, and then, my name is not Jack Sparrow, but I'd be happy to point him out.
Right. And he's like, that's a bad defense. I wouldn't do that. So let's talk about the mermaids. Your favorite scene, the mermaid scene.
I very much like that scene. I like how they make the mermaids vicious creatures.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and the whole idea that they are, beautiful and lure
enticing.
men in, or enticing, and then eat them. I guess so. We don't see that happen, but it is alluded to by one of the pirates.
They're like sirens, kind of.
Right. Yeah.
Yeah.
And I think it's Stephen Graham. He's not listed on the back, but Stephen Graham is the one who meets Jack in the beginning, is kind of throughout the movie. He's the one that is like, and puts the sword away when Jack gives his speech about, let's just watch him fight.
Yeah.
He has just heard the story about how mermaids entice you and then take you down underwater and drown you and eat you. And then this mermaid's here and he's immediately like, yeah, no, I love her. She loves me. Like, it's just, he immediately just goes just believes it all and is about to go in the water with this mermaid.
The one guy was playing no games. He had his knife ready.
Yeah, I know. It's very true. So the guy that, the priest whose name I don't even remember. I know the actor's name, but the priest who befriends the mermaid, his character, I guess, I literally watched this movie last night. His character is so forgettable. I can't even remember what actually happens to him. I know he gets injured at some point, but after that, I don't recall what like the end, like what his resolution is, you know?
The mermaid takes him down to the water. She just
drowns him and eats him.
I guess so.
Weird. Okay.
Because he wasn't mortally wounded. He was cut,
right?
But
right.
It wasn't like he was stabbed,
right?
Yeah. So he would have been all right. I have no idea what happened to him.
Yeah.
She just takes him under the water. That's the last time you see him.
Interesting.
She had to have eaten him because he can't.
She had to have, right?
Yeah.
She's like, thank you for saving me.
Unless, oh, you know what? I know what happened. She healed him. It was off screen, but she healed him because they have a conversation before she takes him down under the water. She was like, I can help you. All you got to do is ask. He was like, I'm all right. I just, all I ask is that you forgive me. And she says again, all you got to do is ask. So he says, and he's like, forgive me. And then he pulls him down. So I assumed because all he wanted was forgiveness, all he wanted from her was forgiveness, that she healed him anyway.
Gotcha.
Yeah. So I think that's what happened.
Cool. I do actually remember him being pulled into the water now. And I guess I just was expecting him to come back and then never did. And now thinking about it, I was like, wait, what happened to that guy?
Yeah.
So,
or he was eaten.
That's kind of what I'm going with. He's like, I don't need you to heal me. And she's like, okay, good. Cause, I'm going to kill you and eat you anyway. I like the look of Blackbeard's ship. I think that's pretty cool.
Yeah. Queen Anne's Revenge.
Yeah.
With the dark red sails. Like it's awesome.
The giant,
out of the
window.
3 ships, which do you prefer? What's your favorite?
Probably the Flying Dutchman, actually. The Flying Dutchman is just dark and creepy and cool, I think. Yeah. I wouldn't necessarily want to be on that boat for an extended period of time, but it's fun to look at.
I wouldn't want to be on none of the boats.
Yeah, that's true.
Yeah, I'd have to agree. The Dutchman is the one.
Yeah.
The Dutchman looks like it's alive.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. I don't even know if you put 3 boats in front of me and said which one was the Black Pearl. I don't think I would be able to point it out.
It's the black boat.
Well, I know, but I mean, I'm just saying, unless that
it's
monkey came
black
out and jumped in my face.
The music is good. Hans Zimmer returned, but it's not as good as Dead Man's Chest or At World's End. At World's End was, oh my God.
Yeah, it's the same type of thing. Like we hear the pirates motifs and everything, which is great, but there's not those big epic moments in this movie. So there's no big epic musical moments either, like the Kraken and Dead Man's Chest.
Kraken,
And so, it's a good score. I actually listened to a little bit of it on Spotify and I liked it, but it's just not as epic as At World's End or Dead Man's Chest. I would agree.
Yeah, because the movie is not as epic.
Right, exactly.
Unfortunately.
Right. The Blackbeard's crew, who are like zombified,
wasted.
There was nothing really there with that.
They weren't scary at all.
At all. It felt like they were wanting to have another Flying Dutchman type of crew, but didn't want to pay for like the CG and stuff. And so they just kind of threw some, not even like, the effects are fine, like makeup effects, but it just wasn't that much. It was very toned down, and there wasn't much. And
you only really see
that.
Like 2 of them.
Right. Yeah, exactly. So there's not even that many. I just thought of a scene with one of them that I do like, actually. So Blackbeard's got like a voodoo doll of Jack. And he, pokes him with it a couple times and Jack feels it and puts it over the fire. Jack feels it. And so they're trying to find Ponce de Leon's ship and the chalices and stuff. And they come across a cliff that used to have a bridge, but the bridge is gone. Mm-hmm. And Blackbeard's like, well, Jack's going to go, and then Jack's like, I'm sorry, what? And so he threatens to kill Penelope Cruz's character, Angelica, I believe, right? Is that her name?
Yeah, Angelica.
So he goes up to one of the zombified crewmates and he's like, if I jump, will I survive? And the zombified crew guy takes the voodoo doll and throws it, which makes Jack feel the drop because he immediately just starts screaming. But the doll lands in the water and Jack doesn't die. And so he's like, yeah, you'll survive, which I thought was great. And I actually thought it was actually kind of a big gamble on the crewmate's part, because if he threw the doll and Jack had died, Blackbeard would have been like, come on, man, I needed that guy to get the chalices. Gosh, I don't know. Can we have a 30-minute episode?
I think that's what it's gonna wind up being, man. Because this movie is 2 hours and 20 minutes, and like I said, that gap from the mermaids to right before the third deck, basically when they get the chalices, I don't remember.
Right? No, I know. I actually would have almost forgotten about the voodoo doll jumping off the cliff thing if we hadn't talked about the zombified crewmates. And so, yeah, I mean, I just don't have much to say about it. I didn't take any notes watching it. I watched it last night and I didn't dislike the film necessarily. It just didn't do anything for me. So Rob Marshall directed this. I actually just looked up Rob Marshall because the only movie I could think of that he had directed was Chicago. But he also has directed Mary Poppins Returns. He directed, what did I just say? Some other Disney movie. Little Mermaid, the most recent Little Mermaid, which I have not seen yet.
It's pretty good.
Yeah, actually, I can't speak on that one because I haven't watched it. But I was going to say, looking at his movies, with maybe the exception of Memoirs of a Geisha, which I remember being pretty good, I feel like most of his movies I just thought were okay. I've seen Chicago. I've only seen it once. I really didn't want that movie to win Best Picture back then. I was a huge Gangs of New York fan. And that movie got nominated for 11 Oscars and didn't win a single one. And I'm still bitter about it 20 years later.
Politics, man. It's politics.
Yeah. So Chicago won the Best Picture that year. I don't remember. He did not win Best Director because it went to Roman Polanski that year. So I don't know. I wouldn't say I'm the biggest Rob Marshall fan. He's fine, but I haven't seen a movie of his where I was just like, that was amazing. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So, and that's kind of how I feel about this movie. It's fine. This is going to be one of our shortest episodes, but I feel like I'm running out of stuff to talk about. So let's just go into a rating.
All right. You can go first.
All right. Well, so as much as I kind of hated on At World's End, I had to really think about it with this movie. And I was like, if I had to watch one of them again, I would go with At World's End over this one, because at least it's, even though I had problems with it and I think there's too much going on and I was a little confused and whatever, and it's just way more entertaining and it's got more scenes that I really like and everything. So I gave that one 3 stars. I can't give this one higher. So I'm actually going to go like right down the middle with this one at 2.5 Fountains of Youth, 2.5 Ponce de Leon chalices.
Okay. I'm gonna go a little higher than you. I'm gonna give it 3 out of 5. Queen Anne's Revenges.
Nice. There you go.
Yeah.
So there you have it. The 4th Pirates movie. What are we missing? If you're a huge fan of this movie, I'd love to know why, and tell us what we missed out on, because I'm a little bummed, because like I said, I remember watching it and thinking that was really good. I like, the Pirates movie, the Pirates franchise has come back. That's kind of how I felt when I watched it in like 2011. And then watching it last night, I was like, no, it didn't. So we are finishing up our Pirates of the Caribbean franchise next week.
Yes.
With Pirates of the Caribbean, Dead Men Don't
Dead Men Tell No Tales.
Thank you very much. Yes. Dead Men Tell No Tales. Dead Men Don't Tell Lies. This one I have not seen, so I'm actually really looking forward to it, even though I've heard not a lot of great things. But I remember seeing the preview and thinking Javier Bardem looked really cool in it, so I'll keep my expectations somewhat low, but I am looking forward to watching it. So, and that'll wrap this franchise up, and then we're going to wrap up another franchise after we finish this one. So we'd love to know what you think about Pirates of the Caribbean on Stranger Tides. You can always let us know at cinemaheroes.com. You can also tweet at us or leave a comment on our Instagram. Both handles are at cinemaheroes. If you're watching this on YouTube, leave a comment down below what you think about the movie. Give the video a thumbs up and subscribe to the channel if you haven't already. We'd love to hear from you however you want to reach out to us. I think that about wraps it up for this episode, though. I'm Justin Speck.
I'm Jay Stu.
As always, thanks for listening. Thanks for subscribing.